Welcome to a gorgeous sunny Southern California day, June. It's beautiful. Temperatures are cool. It's a little bit warm, but the breeze is keeping it cool. I'm here at the Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Hollywood Hills to find some significant graves of entertainers, and you probably will remember. Let's go back and do some reminiscing about Hollywood history here. So right after you enter the Memorial Park here, just up the hill are two graves that I needed to check out. Gene Autry, America's favorite cowboy, Orvin Gene Autry, 1907 to 1998. American hero, philanthropist, patriot, and veteran, movie star, singer, composer, baseball fan, and owner, 33rd degree Mason, media entrepreneur, loving husband, gentleman, a believer in our Western heritage. And right next to him is his wife, Ines Bivy Autry, longtime partner of Gene Autry. He's got the Lord's Prayer there.
From 1934 to 1953, Gene Autry appeared in 93 motion pictures. He hosted the Gene Autry Show TV series between 1950 and 1956, often co-starring with his horse Champion. Autry was also one of the most important pioneering figures in the history of country music, considered the second major influential artist of the genre's development after Jimmie Rodgers. His films were the first media vehicle to carry Western music to a nationwide audience. In addition to his signature song Back in the Saddle Again, Autry is remembered for his recording of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Frosty the Snowman, and Here Comes Santa Claus.
And right next to him is Monte Hale. Gosh, I wrote to Monte Hale so many times. Monte Hale was a cowboy actor. He was very good about signing autographs for me.
Born as Samuel Ely in Texas, Monte Hale gathered pecans and picked cotton as a boy to earn money to buy his first guitar. Soon he was singing and playing guitar for audiences. During World War II, he got a job as a replacement guitarist with the Stars Over Texas Bond Drive, joining several other Republic Pictures celebrities and staff. This introduced him to Western stars like Chill Wills and led to his entry into Western films produced by Republic Pictures. Beginning in 1948, Hale appeared in a series of Western comic books published by Fawcett Comics. The truth is that his comic book stardom lasted longer than his movie stardom. He finished his Republic contract with an appearance in the Roy Rogers, Dale Evans movie Trail of Robin Hood with fellow Republic stars Rex Allen and Rocky Lane.
Here's the grave of Bob Barker. I can't believe it. He's been on TV forever. Watched him at Truth and Consequences way back in the 60s. Thought it was a hilarious show.
You are our 1 millionth contestant. Now, she's from Chicago originally. If you just joined us, her name is Mrs. Allen. And you can walk right along our studio here on Sunset Boulevard. And that's why we put this cement block here as near to the boulevard itself as we could, so that people going along here can look right in here and see your footprints, Mrs. Allen.
I think that's wonderful. I'm so excited. I'm so thrilled.
Good. All right, Ed, will you help me now? And I'll tell you, why don't we would you like to take your shoes off so that you don't get cement on your shoes? Here, just slip your shoes off there. That's a girl. Now, let's just lift her up, Ed, and lift her right out in the center there so her footprints are right out there where everybody can see them. Lift her up here. Okay. Mrs. Allen! What a terrible thing to have happen. Isn't that awful? How could we make a mistake like that? Well, I'll tell you, we wouldn't do a thing like this to a nice little lady who didn't know it was going to happen. This is not anybody's Mrs. Allen. This is Dolores Albin. Ed, help me get her out of here, will you please? It's over her head. This is Dolores Albin. She is a former acrobatic dancer and an actress in Hollywood now. And
Of course, was a fan of The Price is Right. Next to him is Dorothy Jo. I remember him mentioning his wife, Dorothy Jo, born in 1924, and she died in 1981. good memories of this guy, because when I was out of school in summertime, we would spend our time watching The Price is Right. We were country kids stuck out in the country, and we had nothing to do. Watched Bob Barker quite a bit. Always wondered what it would be like to be on the show in the audience, but never got the opportunity to actually do that. So one of my big regrets that I didn't come down to do that and see Bob Barker. Too late now. Bob Barker seemed like a friend. Seemed like a very personable guy. And of course, when he was in Happy Gilmore, those scenes were hilarious.
You know what's driving me crazy? You not getting the ball in the hole. This guy sucks.
All right, let's go. You like that, old man?
I don't want a piece of you. I want the whole thing. I think you've had enough. No? Now you've had enough. Bitch.
So we've got some partial shade on this one. This is the grave of Roy Oliver Disney, who was the brother of Walt Disney, 1893 to 1971. He was kind of the money man behind all the Disney enterprises. Walt was the one who came up with the dreams, and Roy was the one who helped finance them, including Disneyland itself. A great and humble man, he left the world a better place. And right next to him is his wife, Edna, 1890 to 1984. It was Roy Disney who helped Walt come up with the $17 million necessary to build Disneyland. And when Walt Disney died in 1966, Roy carried the torch to see the opening of Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida. Roy and Edna's son, Roy E. Disney, later became vice president of the Walt Disney Company. Throughout his life, Roy Oliver Disney rejected the publicity and fame that came with being Walt's brother, but today he is honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Lester Alvin Burnette, better known as Smiley Burnette, was a country music singer and a comedic actor in Western films and on radio and TV, playing sidekick to Roy Rogers and Gene Autry. Beginning in 1934, his career spanned 4 decades, including a regular role on CBS TV's Petticoat Junction in the 1960s. He was also a prolific singer and songwriter who is reported to have proficiently played over 100 musical instruments, sometimes more than one simultaneously.
What are you catching this thing?
It's a gramophone.
Well, we don't care about grandma. What does it do?
It's a talking machine.
Talking machine. Well, if it talks to me, I'm going to quit drinking even milk.
It plays the most wonderful music.
Fetch me down my trusty 45. See the fire in my eye. Watch the smoke when I go by. Fetch me down my trusty 45.
I have to say, this is a wonderful view of the Hollywood area. High up on the hill is the grave of a former teen heartthrob and recording artist who died tragically in a plane crash many years ago. You may not recognize the name of Eric Hilliard Nelson, but you would recognize the name of Ricky Nelson probably.
Sweet Mary Lou, I'm so in love with you.
This is the grave of Ricky Nelson.
Ricky Nelson died in a crash landing of his band's aircraft on December 31st, 1985. The plane, which was a Douglas DC-3, was brought down mid-flight outside of DeKalb, Texas by a fire that spread rapidly from a suspected faulty in-cabin heater. While both pilots survived, Nelson and 6 others, including band members and his girlfriend, did not.
It looks like some people have remembered him with some coinage here. His parents, Ozzie and Harriett Nelson, the famous TV couple, is located nearby. So Ricky is buried right there. If you come down here, you'll see his dad's grave. Oswald Nelson, you know him as Ozzie Nelson, beloved husband and father. And of course, we can't forget Harriet. Harriet Nelson, the better half of the relationship. Very famous TV mom. Died in 1994.
In the 1930s, Ozzie Nelson started his entertainment career as a band leader. He formed and led the Ozzie Nelson Band and found some limited success. In October 1935, he married the band's vocalist, Harriet Hilliard, and the couple had 2 children, David in 1936 and Ricky in 1940. It was the start of an iconic TV family. Their TV sitcom, The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet, aired on ABC from 1952 to 1966 and starred the real-life Nelson family. The show was brought to TV after a long run on radio, where it continued its success, initially running simultaneously on radio and TV. In case you're wondering, David died in 2011 and is buried in the Westwood Memorial Park.
This really is a beautiful part of Southern California. The wind's blowing today to keep things really cool. We're going to swing up the hill to take a look at this statue up here. And then from the statue, we're going to swing over here to this grave of Brittany Murphy Monjack. She lived from 1977 to 2009, died way too young. And look what the fans have left. Just all this beautiful colored glass on top of her marker. It says, "Our precious daughter, wife, and angel to all." Unfortunately, she didn't get to live a very long life.
We're right now at the Blockbuster Video Store, which is pretty busy this time of day, at 51st and 8th Avenue. And I'm here to pick out some good videos. If I wasn't in it, I would definitely recommend this because that's a really happy movie.
An actress as a child, Brittany Murphy earned fame with such films as Clueless, Uptown Girls, and others. After romantic relationships with Eminem and Ashton Kutcher, she met British screenwriter Simon Monjack during the filming of The White Hotel, which he directed. They married in 2007. Several of Monjack's colleagues and friends accused him of being responsible for Murphy's physical changes and also of not letting her contact her family. Some said that he was a manipulator, liar, and scammer, and that Brittany was one of his last victims. In the early 2000s, Murphy lost a significant amount of weight, which led to rumors of a cocaine addiction and that she suffered from bulimia or anorexia. In 2005, Murphy disputed those claims. 5 days before Christmas in 2009, Brittany Murphy died at the age of 32 under disputed circumstances. The coroner's office ruled her death as accidental and that the cause was pneumonia with a severe iron deficiency anemia and multiple drug intoxication. The coroner found a range of over-the-counter and prescription medications in her system, with the most likely reason being to treat a cold or a respiratory infection. These included elevated levels of hydrocodone and acetaminophen. Murphy's husband and her mother insisted that Brittany did not use alcohol or other drugs and that drugs did not cause her death. Instead, they attributed it to a heart condition. On May 23, 2010, Monjack was found dead at the same Hollywood Hills home. The coroner's report attributed his death to acute pneumonia and severe anemia, basically the same thing that took Brittany's life. There remains the controversy that the Monjack household had toxic mold, but her mother's suit against the home builder was tossed out by a judge.
Here's the grave of John Ritter. Guy was great. I always appreciated him in the Waltons. He played the Reverend.
I have spent 4 years, Mr. Walton, learning and studying to preach the Word of God. It's up to you to accept or reject it.
But he was also in Three's Company. Made a lot of people laugh.
Oh, Jack, thank you. It's just what we needed. Oh.
Thank you, that's just what I needed.
He left way too early. He was up in my neck of the woods filming Nickelodeon back in the 70s. And in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make. Beatles. Man, there's some beautiful statuary in this park. George Washington up there, Lafayette below. Wow. And it's in this area that we're going to find some celebrity graves. One of them being Stan Laurel of Laurel and Hardy. What a beautiful statuary. I actually see Stan Laurel already. Stan Laurel. Of course, we visited the grave of Oliver Hardy at the Valhalla Cemetery. Stan Laurel, master of comedy, his genius in the art of humor brought gladness to the world he loved. Somebody left him a sunflower.
Buried with Stan Laurel is his fourth and last wife, Ida, whom he married on May 6, 1946. Stan Laurel was a clever, funny man with friend and comedic partner Oliver Hardy. Laurel signed with the Howard Studio to direct films, including a 1925 production called Yes, Yes, Nanette, in which Oliver Hardy played a part under the name of Babe Hardy. It was his intention to work as a writer and director, but after an actor was injured and unable to work for the film Get 'Em Young, Laurel was asked to fill in. Beginning in early 1927, Laurel and Hardy began sharing the screen in several short films, including Duck Soup, Slipping Wives, and With Love and Hisses. The two became friends and their comic chemistry soon became obvious. In about 100 shorts and 27 full-length films, Laurel played the innocent, bumbling scamp who unfailingly brought catastrophe to the 300-pound dunderhead Oliver Hardy. Laurel and Hardy successfully made the transition to talking films with the short film Unaccustomed as We Are in 1929. When Oliver Hardy died on August 7, 1957, Laurel was devastated and quit acting for good. An invalid since he had a stroke in 1955, Laurel was too ill to attend Hardy's funeral and said, quote, "Babe would understand." Laurel also turned down every offer that he was given for a public appearance. "It's been a great life," Laurel said in 1961, "and I'm happy that I've made people forget some of their sorrows, but it would have been nice to have made a little money along the way. I'm not complaining. I've got all I want in this little apartment." Minutes before his death at 1:45 p.m. on February 23, 1965, Stan Laurel told his visiting nurse in his home at the Oceana Apartments in Santa Monica that he would not mind going skiing. She commented that she didn't know that he was a skier. "I'm not," he answered. "I'd rather be doing that than getting all these needles stuck in me." A few minutes later, he died quietly in his armchair with wife Ida by his side.
I'm going to have to do some research on this, but there's a marker here for Borden Chase, writer, patriot. You have to help people when they need help. His philosophy of life and work.
Borden Chase was a novelist whose works formed the basis for movies. His screenplays included John Wayne movies, The Fighting Seabees, Flame of the Barbary Coast, Tycoon, and Red River. He also wrote several episodes of Tales of Wells Fargo, Overland Trail, The Detectives, The Tall Man, Whispering Smith, Bonanza, Route 66, and The Roy Rogers and Dale Evans Show.
I'd say this Borden Chase had it right. You have to help people when they need help. You know, how many of you actually stop and help homeless people? I've done that several times, and then I've also passed up the opportunity. It's just, you just have to gauge whether or not their need is real, and most of the times you can tell whether or not they're scamming you, but I like to help people when I can. And I know people like to help me when they can. They're doing a burial over here. Brutal sound of the tractor pounding the dirt over the grave. And right here in front of the wall is Buster Keaton.
Buster Keaton remains an immortal early Hollywood silent picture star who began as a child vaudevillian. In the 1920s, his films depicted him with a stoic, deadpan facial expression that became his trademark and earned him the nickname of the Great Stoneface. He did some of the craziest and often death-defying stunts himself. I'll go ahead and give you a sample of his work. years after this movie was shot, he learned that he broke his tailbone in this particular movie scene.
Some very cool statuary here to George Washington. What an amazing mural up there. God gave us liberty. People who forsake God lose their liberty. The founder. And there's some depictions of the founding of America. Showing you Christopher Columbus, Pilgrims, fighting for freedom, Revolutionary War. What an amazing mural here at the Hollywood Hills Memorial Park. And on the other side of that hill is the Hollywood sign up there. A friend of mine just told me about that. Of course, he lives down here. He knows all about the area. His name's Sean. It's so peaceful here. It's about an hour before closing time on a Saturday, but the mural's up there. And if you come down to this terrace right here, right about here, we've got the grave of Bob Kane, who created Batman. 1915 to 1998, God bestowed a dream upon Bob Kane. Blessed with divine inspiration and a rich imagination, Bob created a legacy known as Batman. In 1939, started with a comic book.
In my wildest imagination as a kid, I was 18 years old when I created the Batman. Did I ever realize where this thing would go? I just wanted to create a superhero. I always had an empathy for the poor and the underdog, maybe because I thought I grew up, it wasn't really poverty, but it wasn't rich either. And I always felt kind of an affinity for people that are poor and fighting against all the odds that most people fight against. And I wanted to be like Batman.
Since I'm here at Bob Kane's grave, I have to relate a story. I used to watch the TV program in the Bay Area when I was a kid, and I would go around wearing this cape that my grandmother made. It was a purple cape, and she convinced me that if I wore this cape, I could fly like Batman. And as hard as I tried, I could not fly. I could not understand why this cape wasn't working, but man, such great memories. Miss my grandmother. So here at the grave of Bill Paxton, I can't help but think about his portrayal of Morgan Earp when he was killed there in Tombstone, the movie Tombstone. And he talked about on his dying breath about how you're supposed to see the light. He said it wasn't true. Well, that is a lie. There is an afterlife. There's eternal life, I believe, for believers in Christ. And hopefully Bill made it. But there's an afterlife. I think Hollywood sometimes tries to portray spiritual afterlife as a fictional state of being, but it's, you know, to think that this is all we have in life, it's a lie from Satan. This is a very peaceful park right now. I think most people have left Saturday afternoon, and it's just really beautiful. The sun's shining, a little breezy, a little warm. Summer's coming, and it's a good time to be alive. I'm just coming off of the Hollywood show where I met a lot of celebrities. You know, Southern California is driven by entertainment industry. So many people want to be famous and make their name something that lasts forever. But you know, only so many people ever achieve the fame that we see represented here, the founding fathers. This park is really special. What a gorgeous view of the Burbank area right down there. We're gonna come up to this area here, and I'm gonna show you the grave of a Hollywood legend. And you know, I'm sure that you've seen this on other YouTube channels, but I think we all have our own take and our own perspective on things. This is the tomb of the very famous Bette Davis. She's got Bette Davis eyes. She did it the hard way. Beautiful statue right above her. I'm assuming that she's buried inside here. Look at the lip prints. Bette Davis.
After appearing in Broadway plays, Bette Davis moved to Hollywood in 1930, but her early films for Universal Studios were lackluster. She joined Warner Brothers in 1932 and found her critical breakthrough role playing a vulgar waitress in Of Human Bondage in 1934.
You are going it. Do you always order champagne?
No.
Then why'd you do it now?
I was hoping it would make you more friendly. You think it will?
Well, there's one thing I can say for you. Gentleman in every sentence of the word.
Davis had a gift for playing unlikable characters and a reputation as being tough off-screen. Termed the First Lady of the American Screen, Davis wasn't afraid to behave badly and often relished in the notion that others thought she was an A-class bitch. When she heard that longtime nemesis Joan Crawford had died in 1977, Davis said, quote, "You should never say bad things about the dead. You should say only good. Joan Crawford is dead. Good." Unquote.
I've acted pretty disgracefully toward her, too.
So right now we're going to walk up here, since we're here, and visit another famous person from our past. A very eccentric guy, if you ask me. You guys probably remember Liberace. He is buried up here. Buried with his brother, apparently. Another beautiful statue on top of a, looks like a sarcophagus. That's kind of hard to say sometimes. There's with his signature.
Liberace began playing the piano at the age of 4. His father Sam took his children to concerts to expose them to music, and he was a taskmaster, demanding high standards from the children in both practice and performance. At the height of his fame from the 1950s to 1970s, Liberace was the highest paid entertainer in the world, with established concert residencies in Las Vegas and an international touring schedule.
It was here on the beautiful blue shores of the Mediterranean that the famous French composer Claude Debussy received the inspiration to write one of his best-known piano compositions. It was his musical description of moonlight reflected on the water. Clair de Lune.
He embraced a lifestyle of flamboyant excess both on and off stage, but never publicly acknowledged that he was gay.
Entombed here with his mother and his brother, George. Mom died, looks like 7 years before Liberace did. Famous pianist. Wasn't a huge fan of his. And somebody left a rose up here for him. So there's a tractor in the way here, and we're going to show you where Carrie Fisher and her mom Debbie Reynolds is buried. Right here. Of course, you know her as Princess Leia from Star Wars, and Debbie Reynolds, her mother, they died a day apart. I'm sure that the death of Carrie is what did the mother in. Such a sad thing to have to bury your own daughter, and it probably added so much stress that it took the life of Debbie Reynolds, who was a very popular TV star, oh gosh, back in the 40s and 50s. Wonderful lady.
Delight you coffee drinkers, we have sugar-coated sinkers, and if you guys want to dunk 'em, dunk away.
And I was looking for the grave of Matthew Perry, And apparently they have not put a marker on it yet, but everybody knows where it's at. It's back here in the sanctuary of treasured love, right here. And then you go through here, and another beautiful statue here. Off to the left, see this mosaic of a very nice looking outdoor scene. And then you come to this grave of Daniel John Clays, MD, doctor. Well, just below him is this grave here, this crypt here. It is the grave of Matthew Perry from Friends, who tragically died recently in the last couple of years. And his house was actually destroyed by the Malibu fires, the very place where he died. So very tragic, very tragic. He was addicted to a lot of medications. He was very open about his addiction, and just was not able to beat it. And as you can see here, a lot of people have left flowers for him. And somebody has actually kissed the stone here. It's actually kind of surreal to be in a place where I'm just by myself here. Matthew Perry was in the news quite a bit after his passing. And it's just so weird how things change. You know, one day you're on top of the world, you're famous, and the next minute you're in an unmarked crypt like this. And I'm sure it's unmarked for a reason, probably because they don't want a lot of people knowing about it. Probably trying to keep people from coming in here and kind of disrupting the serenity of this place. But I think fans of his would probably be respectful. It's kind of sobering because they're building some new crypts over here, and it's like more room for more deaths, and it's just a reminder that we're all terminal. It's kind of a bummer to think about, but enjoy each day is what I'm trying to say. You can really get lost in this place. They've got different sections and different elevations and different ramps, and if you use Find a Grave, you have to go around a corner. This is probably the last grave I'm going to show you today, because it's closing at 6 o'clock, which is closing time. Grave of Andy Gibb. Of course, it says An Everlasting Love, because that was his big hit. He was a member of the Bee Gees. Well, his brothers were the Bee Gees. He was the younger brother of Morris, Robin, and Barry. And too young to be part of the Bee Gees itself, but he was a singer.
I'd do anything to be your everything.
By late January to early February 1988, Andy Gibb had seemingly beat his drug addiction, regained his health, and was ready to begin recording a new album. However, he grew despondent over his breakup with actress Victoria Principal. On March 7, 1988, he entered a hospital in Oxford, England, complaining of chest pains. Shortly afterward, Gibb died as a result of a myocarditis, an inflammation of the heart muscle likely caused by a virus. Doctors believe that years of cocaine use had weakened his heart.
Died very tragically, too young. Look at that. He's just 30 years old. Of course, I remember that song. So it's with a bit of irony that just below the crypt of Andy Gibb is a gentleman named Glenn Miller. Now, not the big band Glenn Miller who died during World War II, but look below his wife Leola. May music follow you wherever you go. Buried right above Andy Gibb, another musician. So as the sun goes down on another day, such a beautiful day today, I want to ask you or implore you all to enjoy each day that you're given. Life's so short, and we should make every minute count of each day. So many people don't see life that way, but life's a gift. Just enjoy each day, because someday you're not going to be here, and hopefully you're going to be in the afterlife. Take care, and God bless.